I'm Brian Van from SportBikeTrackGear.com, and today we're going to install the rear Spiegler brake line on our 2014 STG Yamaha FZ-09 Project Bike. We've already installed the front brake line kit, okay? We installed an original over-the-fender style routing on the FZ-09, and they look phenomenal. They fit great. Spiegler is our #1 recommended stainless steel brake line here at STG. For good reason. DOT certified, high quality components, great availability, and a level of customization that nobody else offers. There are so many line, fitting, and banjo bolt color combinations, it's absolutely mind-bending. We thought on the FZ, translucent blue with titanium fittings would look great. We went with the same color banjo bolts. I want to show you a quick trick that I'm using here on the front. We're done, the brakes are bled. I want to check them for leaks. So what I've done is while I'm servicing the rear, I've got a zip tie on the front master cylinder on the brake lever, holding it compressed. So when I'm done with this, I can go check that for leaks and make sure everything is good to go. Now on to the rear. You can see the quality of the line is phenomenal. It's got a nice mounting grommet that we're going to use right back here, which is something that you really appreciate, especially on a street bike, because we're going to get a good, clean routing. A lot of times on a race bike, I will only install the front lines because, let's be realistic, on the racetrack, I don't really use the rear brake. I found myself with this FZ using the rear brake a ton on the street, so I think I'm going to actually get some performance and feel benefits by installing this stainless steel rear brake line. First thing we need to do is I'm going to use my brake bleeder to essentially extract all the fluid from the system. I'm going to unbolt the master cylinder reservoir right here, remove the cap, and then suck out all the fluid with the brake bleeder. This is something you could do with a turkey baster if you had to as well, okay? So if you don't have access to a brake bleeder, it's not a problem. There are other household tools that will work just fine. A little dirt on here. Just going to hit this with just a quick shot of brake clean. You don't want to get any contaminants inside the master cylinder. Go ahead and remove the cap. We're not only going to suck all the fluid out of the reservoir here, but we're also going to then loosen the bleeder screw on the rear caliper and suck the rest of the fluid out that way. That is going to make this install job super clean. We will have zero spillage. And onto the rear caliper. Won't really be a whole bunch left to come out here. Go ahead and draw that out. You can actually hear that running dry now. This will give us a nice drip-free, super clean installation. Got a 6mm Allen head to break the banjo bolts loose. Start up here at the master cylinder. Keep a rag handy in case there is any spillage, any dripping. Remember, anything on painted surfaces, any brake fluid, you're going to need to clean that off pretty much immediately because it is hard on painted surfaces. Brake fluid's water soluble. You don't need any harsh cleaners to clean it up. You can simply use soap and water if you choose to. Considering we just drained the entire system, you won't really find there to be a lot of dripping fluid anywhere, which is nice. Let's go ahead and release the brake line retainers, and then we're going to come to the back here, break this bolt loose, like so. Another rag over here, put this on our swing arm. And Off comes the line, nice and clean. Put this to the side. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I didn't get any fluid anywhere, and it looks like I got just a tiny bit here on the swing arm. Go ahead and get that cleaned off straight away so there's no issues. Like I said, you don't have to use harsh cleaners or chemicals. A little bit of soap and water will do that job just fine itself. Spiegler brake lines, you'll notice they have a sticker that marks where the rear master cylinder attaches to the line. Okay, so you get it set up the right way. We're going to go ahead and remove that tag, and we're going to begin routing our line. I want to see how the fittings line up and see if there's anything that we need to do to change or influence the routing by rotating the fittings. You are able to rotate the fittings on each end of this brake line in order to get a perfect fit. Well, I can see straight out of the box here, we're definitely going to have an issue. This fitting needs to rotate pretty much 180 degrees from where it's at right now. What I like to do is I'm going to put just a little mark here on my starting point, and I'm going to go over to the bench and show you how to rotate this fitting all the way around, because we want to get a nice kink-free, stress-free line routing. Okay, I've got the line over here at the vise. I don't know if you can see the line that I actually made, the mark I made on the line with that Sharpie. That just gives me an idea of where I need to finish after I rotate it. It kind of keeps that back and forth from the bike from happening. You want to turn it once, go back to the motorcycle, and install the line. You want to keep going back and forth. The best way to do this is with a vise. If you don't have access to a vise, I've also found that a big pair of channel locks works if you set up the jaws so you get a nice even squeeze. Comes with these special tools right in the kit. I'm going to go ahead and get these installed over the ferrule on the fitting. You'll find the fitting rotates nicely inside that ferrule once you have it clamped down sufficiently. And get a nice even squeeze with the vise. We've got to rotate this one quite a ways. Comes with this little tool as well. And we're going to rotate this thing right around to there. Okay, the fitting's rotated. Now it's time to see if I got it turned enough for me to get a good clean routing. This time I'm actually going to put in the front banjo bolt there at the master cylinder. Remember, it goes banjo bolt, crush washer, fitting, and then the other crush washer. Route that under here. I'm going to run this down just finger tight, like so, and then I want to come to the back. Wow, look at the difference. I mean, there's virtually no twist in that line right now. So we're going to go ahead and grab 2 more crush washers in the rear banjo. With our Spiegler line kits, we supply all the banjo bolts. They'll be the same color as the fitting choice you made. So when you get done, this thing looks phenomenal. Okay, now you see the grommet here needs to come forward just a little bit. Good clean routing. Slide that forward. All right. Right about there is going to be pretty decent. Just a little more forward. That's ready to put in. Put that rear one together. Look at how nicely this is coming together right now. Torque, aluminum components. Use reasonable torque. There are specifications available if you choose to use them. I'm pretty comfortable with the tools, so I choose not to use a torque wrench. Repeat the process here on the rear caliper. And that should be good. Okay, now it's time to begin the brake bleeding process. There are different ways to do this. We showed you how to use the power bleeder to evacuate the system. On this motorcycle now, I'm going to show you the standard brake bleeding method, okay? So you can reference this if you've done the front lines and you don't have a power bleeder where we did use that. It'll show you how to do it. It's a very simple process, but it's the most important part of the job. First thing we have to do is we need to get some fluid inside of our rear brake reservoir. What I'd like to see if I can do is just kind of get this thing held in place here. Make life a little bit easier. Like so, okay. The nuts right here. Just gonna put that up there just loosely because what I don't want to have happen is I don't want the reservoir flopping around and spilling fluid all over this gorgeous motorcycle. And let's go ahead and top this off. Like so. I'm going to go ahead and just open the rear screw here for a minute and just kind of let gravity take its course. What we're going to do for the purpose of this demonstration is I'm going to hook up the power bleeder without actually using it. I just want the hose to essentially collect the fluid that is going to come out as we're bleeding the brakes so we don't make a huge mess. Remember, like I said before, we have a super sweet brake bleeder hose and bag kit that will catch all the fluid, and it really works nicely and it keeps the mess down. I'm already starting to see the fluid bubble here just a little bit at the rear bleeder. We've got a little bit of motion. So let's get set to do more of a manual style rear bleed. You can easily access this just with your hand. Go ahead and pump the pedal a couple of times and then open the screw, tighten it up, repeat the process until we get fluid motion. Another thing you can do to begin the process is open the screw, push the pedal, close the screw. Release the pedal, open the screw, push the pedal, close the screw. This is a good way to get the fluid flow started. I can actually hear the fluid flowing now. I'm seeing the level in the master cylinder drop. So now what we can do is begin to pump it up again. Now I do have some pressure back here, so that worked really well. I'm going to pump it up a handful of times, hold it, open the screw, holding it down, release the lever. Pump it up again, screws tight, loosen the screw, close the screw, and begin to pump the lever. One more time and I think we'll be there. Yep, that's a nice brake pedal for sure. I'm going to go ahead and just evacuate the line with the power bleeder. Put this to the side. So that is how you bleed the brakes manually. It's a really simple process. And like I said, look for that bag and hose kit that we sell on the site. Things super cheap, it's reusable. You have a job like this, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's worth its weight in gold, okay? Pedal feels phenomenal. Go ahead and close up the screw. Let's cap off our bleeder. Brake fluid level, clearly marked lower and upper. I want to get it a little closer to the upper. Perfect, right there. Let's go ahead and cap this off nice and tight. Remember, you do not want to leave your brake fluid open. Sealed containers only. I'm going to real quickly spray off the cap. Remember, no contaminants in the master cylinder. It is a bad thing. We are ready to cap it off. And reinstall the reservoir. This is a pretty simple little job, and aesthetically, with the swing arm, I mean, that rear brake line really sets the back of the bike off. You know, you put a nice colored line on there. This is a twofold gain. I'm gonna get better rear brake feel and performance, more power. Remember, we don't have that line expanding anymore. And it also looks absolutely brilliant back there, which is a sweet bonus. Remember, with the street bike, that's a big part of it, man. It's that whole personalization, you know, really making this motorcycle yours. Slide this bad boy up. Like so. And there you have it. Nice clean routing. It really looks great against the swing arm. Actually looks like I need to put just another tickle of fluid in it, so I'm going to loosen that back up, put a little more fluid inside the rear master. I want to be a little closer to that upper mark. I'm going to double check the pedal is just perfect. We're going to be ready to check the front for leaks and then go off for a road.